Louie's best friend, Dave O'Kane. Once again, I have a story associated with the two of these guys. I have to start this off by saying that we didn't know this until probably a good 10 years ago, but when you go away with Dave O'Kane to a tournament, and he has to go to the bathroom, he has to get completely naked to go to the bathroom. Jewelry has to come off, socks, sneakers, shoes, everything. He can't go to the bathroom in a public bathroom without being completely naked. Why, I don't know. But he told us that we were in a room at a state tournament once. I don't know why, but that's what he has to do. So keep that in mind when I tell you this. He's not much of a drinker either. I mean, he'll drink occasionally here and there, but he's not like a professional boozer like a lot of us in this room. But there was a time when, once again, him and Louie didn't bowl exactly up to their standards, and they went to a bar after bowling. And Dave gets up, I gotta go to the bathroom. So he goes to the bathroom. Suddenly, Louie can hear this god-awful screaming going on in the bathroom. So Louie rushes to see what's going on, and he sees Dave laying on the floor, sobbing. He's like, what the hell's going on in here? Dave goes, I sat down and took a crap, but every time I flushed the toilet, something reached up and squeezed my testicles. Louie looked at the toilet stall and says, you moron, that was the mop bucket. See, are you planning to have work with you? Dave, you're right.
I'm going home.
To present the third person of the Hall of Fame class of 2019, one of Dave O'Kane's best friends and former ball driller and owner of Pro Shop, Tom Bieniek Jr.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I'd like to start by saying if everybody could please silence their cell phones, that would be fantastic. All right. Good evening. I have to say that this is my favorite day of the year bowling-wise. It's the only day of the year that brings together a lot of my fellow Hall of Famers from all eras. I love the rich history of our association and its Hall of Fame. With that said, there's one person that's undefeated, has never lost to any Hall of Famer, and that's Father Time. As I stand here and see many of my childhood idols, I also miss the dozens that are not here. I realize that as we get older, our skills diminish. For some of us, injury has taken its toll. We're shells of who we once were on the lanes that got us to this mountaintop, the pinnacle of our careers, our Hall of Fame. So please, let's reach out to everyone, Hall of Famers or otherwise, and convince them how much of an honor it is to be voted into this Hall of Fame. Come to this event. Be proud of being a Hall of Famer. Support it. Tell your friends and customers at the bowling centers how much fun it is and what it means to us. Let's keep it going and continue to grow. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. Nothing tells me that more than the closing of Stanton Lanes. I spent more time there honing my skills as a child than I did at school. So please, let's get our Hall of Famers to attend this great event. I'd like to congratulate the lovely Barbara Racimus on your induction into the Hall of Fame.
Lovely, thank you.
You were my first crush as a little kid. Wasn't a teacher for me. Very well deserved.
Thank you.
It's a privilege to have been lucky enough to know you and your family since I was a young boy in junior bowling at Colonial Lanes. I grew up 2 blocks from Stanton Lanes, but my parents worked mornings on weekends, so I stayed at my grandparents' house, which was closer to Colonial. I bowled there for a couple years. Again, a privilege to have met you. As every member of your family, we're all positive influences on my young life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Louie, I remember the first time I met you. You were bowling at Stanton Lanes for a free promotion. Shocker, right? He then kept coming back there to practice after the promotion was over. Day after day after day. You had the bug, fell in love with bowling, just like all of us. But you were just beginning then, and the amount of time and effort you put into the sport has paid off. You've had a super career so far, as your resume confirms. Winning that all-event state championship was the highest series ever rolled at the time. That record still holds today. Just amazing. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. I couldn't be prouder of you, buddy, and thank you for allowing me to witness your career from the beginning. Many more Hall of Fame caliber years ahead of you, pal. That brings me to our next Hall of Fame inductee, Dave O'Kane. I'll keep this short. He's really good. All right, let's talk about me some more. All right, I'm just kidding.
Keep going.
So where do I begin? Let's start from the beginning. So I was a new up-and-comer in the pro shop business. I had just moved into LS Bolorama after leaving the mall at Colonial Lanes. Customers were not easy to come by at the time, but one day, in walked this good-looking kid, thin, great build, full head of hair. Remember that Father Time analogy? Well, he told me his name, we started talking, and he told me that someone had recommended he come down and talk to me about getting some new bowling balls. That person was his best friend at the time, and still today, new Hall of Famer Louis Bailoni. But he was just getting back into the sport after a number of years, and said he just bowled junior leagues at Chacos West. I said, okay. I had him shoe up, start throwing some balls. I could see what I had to work with and get the specs of his game to recommend the proper balls and layouts. Well, I saw him throw a few balls, and I still remember this like it was yesterday. I thought, where the hell did this kid come from? And why did he ever quit? I needed to get him on my team. Well, he asked if I knew any leagues to join. I laughed and said yes. I told him I just moved into this bowling center, and their premier league was on Tuesdays. I was trying to put a team together for it. Would you like to join? He said yes. So the next thing you know, it was Dave, myself, my father, Dave Zazada, and this other dude again, Louis. Well, we all bowled, had a great time. We ended up winning that league. It was fun. But the one thing that really stuck out to me was how naturally good Dave was. It was effortless. He progressed at an incredible pace. Before you knew it, he was bowling 300 and 800 almost every week, it seemed. He even averaged over 250 for an entire season. Now, I've seen a few people in my life that have that it to them. They have unparalleled hand-eye coordination, and are just good at everything they do. Those people are my best friends. First is Pat Partilla. Bowls righty, lefty, just really good at everything he does. Second is Mark Boris, just filled with raw talent. And the third is Dave O'Kane. They could just do anything that takes skill and do it great, naturally. I mean, when I had my shop on Blackman Street, he came in to see me with his son Tyler, or T.O. as he prefers to be called. And who am I to argue? I mean, I know a little bit about nicknames. Beans, right? So I was drilling a new ball for Tyler, and while I was in the back, they decided to set up a few bowling ball boxes with a space just wide enough to fit a golf ball through that I had on my desk. They sat there rolling the ball across the floor together, trying to make it go into this tiny spot. Well, guess what? Young Tyler couldn't do it after 2 tries. Dave had the floor, scouted, proceeded to roll the ball into that space over and over again. Like it was nothing, just super competitive and just good. So fast forward, after about 100 300s, 100 800s into his career, I noticed another thing about Dave. Everybody liked him. He never had a bad word to say about anyone. I mean, it didn't matter what the reason was, he just never did it. I would honestly go out on a limb and say that Dave O'Kane is the Charlie Hurst, rest in peace, Charlie, of my generation. Charlie was a man that possessed infinite skills, a great husband, a great family man, a Hall of Fame bowler, and a man that just overflowed with class. A man that always put everyone else before him. Dave O'Kane is that same type of man, and I emphasize man. I was lucky enough to advance a little bit in this industry, was given the task of finding a couple bowlers to add to the Brunswick advisory staff for our area. That was easy to me. Who could I pick that bowled in different houses, bowled honor scores twice a week it seemed, and always had people watching them? Well, I picked our MC Pat Partilla, and I picked Dave, and he didn't disappoint. He stayed on staff representing Brunswick for 6 years, represented them 100% without fail, a true professional. Well, Brunswick had some personnel changes at the home office. I was hired by Storm, so I lost all my contacts at Brunswick, and they decided not to renew Dave's contract. Their loss, a major loss at that. So Dave no longer reps Brunswick bowling, but now he represents himself and his family as an amazing husband to his wife Angie, an amazing father to Tyler, an amazing friend to all of us, and now a Wyoming Valley Bowling Association Hall of Famer. I am truly humbled and honored that you've asked me to present you with this amazing accolade, Dave. I love you, and you deserve it. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, 2018 Hall of Fame inductee, Mr. Dave.